Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Growth Bites. I recorded this live a little while ago and then just noticed that my video has no sound. I went through my settings and here I am doing this again. And exemplifying one of the things that I told you as I started the broadcast, which is we choose who we want to be every day. This is within us. And I wanted you to, or what I encourage you to do, and I'm encouraging you to do now, is decide who will you be today. You get to choose. Who will you be? Will you be a winner? Will you overcome obstacles? Will you go through the day knowing that you will prevail, regardless of what life throws at you, good or bad, right? Particularly the bad, of course. Or will you choose to be somebody who lets their perspective be one of gloom and rain and everything against them, and you're feeling like you're overwhelmed? There might be some days like that, but at the end of it, you need to decide and choose who you want to be. So that's the thought I'm going to leave with you today. I read somewhere that your identity is defined by who you believe you are and by who you believe you're not. It's pretty profound. If you believe that you are somebody who cannot be stopped, who can and will get to whatever they decided that they wanted to accomplish, then that's what's going to happen. You will be that person. But with or by the same token, if you decide to go through life and through circumstances with a stance of fear and concern and am I going to be able, then you might find that you're not going to be able because you approached things with fear. That fear will drive a result that you didn't want to get, but you were afraid of. And that just reinforces that inner story. So always choose who you want to be and know that that's your choice. You cannot control the wind. You can control the sails. I help managers who are frustrated because they cannot be promoted, because they cannot grow their careers, because they're not making the kind of money they could, get earmarked for more and faster promotions so that their lifetime income increases as a result of that faster, farther growth. You just need to focus on the key things and learn to work with them. And that's what I help people with. It's that mindset, and it's the knowledge and the understanding of what those few things are that are important. Reach out, you know how to find me, and we can get into a conversation that will lead to your further growth and accelerated career. And with that, let's go again into the questions. First question here is, let me get my title there out of the way. I've been told that I'm too blunt. How can I communicate more tactfully? So look at yourself in the mirror, my friend. Is there something to this feedback that you are getting? Excuse me. Could it be that you are indeed being overly blunt? There's nothing wrong with being blunt and direct. Blunt in a good way, like direct, like don't be beating around the bushes if there's no need for that. I worked in many countries around the world, and I know that there's a cultural component to this perception. When I worked in Latin America, where I'm originally from, the culture is one where there's a lot of courtesy around how you make a point. Some countries more so than in others. And you tend to, I guess, circle around the issue until you get to the point. You do make your point, you do come across, but there's a little bit of a ritual of a courtesy in how you say things so that you won't come across as rude or overly blunt. I also worked in the Netherlands, and they're the nicest people. They're super polite, but they are direct. They're not rude for the most part, or in most of the cases. They are not they don't do it in a bad way, in an impolite way. It's just their culture. So you also have to understand whether there's a component here that could be overly I'm sorry, that could be related to culture and expectations that are tied to culture. I have good friends from Japan, and they tell me that normally, until they learn the culture of other people, particularly Americans, in the case of this conversation, Americans tend to come across to Japanese people, again, for the most part, in the general case, as very aggressive, as blunt, as just brutal, very direct, because they're used to a very high degree of courtesy and ceremony in their culture in Japan. And so it's not because the Japanese are too sensitive. I know some of the toughest people in my world are from Japan. It's just that their culture is very, very courteous. And these people that I was telling you about are very, very polite, very soft-spoken, very unassuming, and they're tough as nails. So it's not a, are you being too blunt or too impolite? It's more a cultural thing. Now, look at yourself in the mirror and try to determine whether this is indeed you being too blunt. Take cues, see your audience, and more importantly, never such thing as over communication. Talk to whoever's giving you the feedback. When you say you've been told, who's telling you that? What's the evidence? And I'm not asking this in a confrontational kind of way. I'm asking this in a curious kind of way. I'm choosing to have a curious perspective. You should too, probably. Why do you say I'm coming across as too blunt? Could you help me understand that? And then analyze why that's the case, why you are being, if you are indeed being blunter than you probably should, or is it just a cultural thing that you just need to learn? So the key here is communicate with whoever's giving you the feedback and try to understand from them, get from them more information that will help you modify your behavior or determine if behavior modification is indeed necessary. I'll leave you with that, and I'm very curious as to how it goes, and you know where to find me to help. Second question, I have to scrape my team off the floor after every review with my CEO. How can I protect them? Well, the first way to protect your team when they're in front of a CEO who couldn't be abrasive or overpowering is make sure that they are prepared. I don't know what the topic is. It's a review that happens every month, every quarter. Is it just a visit to your operations, to your team? What's the objective of that interaction? And are you helping your team be prepared? Are you helping them shine in their best light? If you come to determine and understand that, yeah, you could have done better, then now you know, right? And there might have been some justification in the CEO or whoever the executive might be in their frustration. They might have chosen, again, the word choice, the less optimal or a suboptimal way of getting their points across or letting you know that you should be better next time. But nevertheless, they could be justified. If you protect your team and you help them be prepared and you help them address things in a good, punctual, succinct, economic way, then I think that's what you can do. And the most important thing, and I shared this a little while ago when I was live unknowingly without broadcasting any sound. I had a conversation with one of my CEOs, my direct boss, a few years ago, not too many. And he was like that, where we came into the reviews and it was always an experience. It was always an exercise in just steeling yourself for the winds and the blows and the rain that was going to come. That was his style. I told him once, I gave him the feedback that my team was not afraid, but they were drained after our reviews, and sometimes they just were feeling like their head was on a block. And he said, well, listen, it's nothing personal. That's just how I am. I know it's not optimal. I know I'm too aggressive. I'm scary sometimes, but it's nothing personal. Your team actually did great. So let them know that most of the times this is nothing personal. They shouldn't be wandering around the world thinking the CEO or that high executive just targeted me and chewed me out and thinks that I am useless or whatever they might be thinking. It could be totally unjustified. It could be nothing personal. One of the CEOs that I worked with, a very, very bright person, was like that. It was very, very tough. And once he told us after a review, he actually gave us very good feedback, and he was, he gave us praise about the way that we had all prepared and handled the review. And he said he was impressed and he was happy with how things had gone. He also recognized that his style was extremely hard to take sometimes, and that he knows that he's hard-nosed, but that he didn't mean anything by it, and that he was preparing us for the big, old, tough world out there. And that's what he said, almost word by word. He said, you will mostly go on to become CEOs, CIOs, CFOs, like chief executives. This team has a lot of potential. You guys will be running companies one day, and the world is not kind, and the world does not really care about how you feel any given day. Analysts are ruthless. They're going to ask you questions that are tough, and they won't worry too much about whether you're feeling blue or not that day. So you need to be ready for that, and I'm trying to help you prepare. Okay. That gave us a great perspective and a different, again, the word perspective, and a totally different take on how to read into those interactions and how or not we should be feeling bad about it. Now, like I was saying, if you do find that your team and yourself are ill prepared for the review, for the interaction, then recognize it and move on. Do not dwell on it. Get better. Be better prepared next time and go with it. In the extreme case that the interaction was far too brutal and you can't recover, well, then you need to make your own choices and know it. But most of the times, this will not be the case. Most of the times, it will be something that you can control your reaction to, and that is not personally directed at you. So help your team by being prepared. Help your team by building a mindset in them that they cannot control the wind. They can't control the sail. And that it's nothing personal most of the times. That's it. People like this will always exist. Nothing I tell you will take them away or make it different, and nothing you wish for is going to change the world. There are people like this. It's a reality of life. Most times they don't mean bad. They're just like this. And don't be afraid. Be prepared. Okay, how can I increase my visibility in front of higher level managers in my workplace without sounding like it's all about me? It's never about you, even when you think it's all about you. Even when you're asked to present how you did in a project or how you handled whatever situation, initiative that might be where you did brilliantly. It's not about you. It's always about them. So the best way for you to come across authentically and to really showcase your value and your contribution and to not sounding like it's all about you is don't make it about you. Make it about them. Who's your audience? Who are your stakeholders? What are you doing to help them solve their problem, to help them reach their objectives? The more you choose that perspective, and there's the word again, perspective. The more you choose the perspective that it's not about you, but it's about them and their needs and what you need to do to help and add value, the more you will stand out as somebody who can and should be trusted, who can and should be developed faster, who they should be spending energy watching, right? They're going to put you in the talent watch list. They're going to want to know how you're doing. You're going to get more visibility because you are very clear about what you do, how you solve problems, kind of problems that you solve, and how you can help them move the needle forward in your organization, team, or whatever the circumstance is. But if you help and if you add value, thinking about their needs, that's the best way to not come across like you're trying to just steal the spotlight, and as somebody who can be trusted with increasing value and with making a valuable contribution to their efforts. So let's go to the next one here. I feel like it's time I start thinking about making a transition to another opportunity. How do I know it's time to move on? Well, the first thing that I advise for you to do is understand, why are you feeling like this? When you say, I feel like it's time I start thinking, why do you feel this? Oftentimes we go into these thought cycles because something is missing, because we feel we're not growing, because we feel we're not taken into consideration, because we feel that, I don't know, something is amiss. Have you been consistently given tough feedback? And maybe that's informing your thought process here, where you say, yeah, this is not a place for me anymore. There's no room for me. If that's the case, be honest with yourself. Why do you feel like it's a good time to move on? Are you looking at life, and I'm going to again use the word perspective, from a perspective that it's all determined by the amount of time that elapses, right? Hey, it's been fill in the blank number of months, years, hours, days, span of time since your last promotion, or since your last salary increase, or is your salary increase something that you feel is inappropriate? Have you talked to your organization about it? Maybe you don't want to, but again, understand what makes you feel like this. I'm not saying that not to move out, or I'm not saying that it's all on you. I'm just saying, think about why you're feeling like this. People often mistake don't give up. So let's say that you're looking at a situation where you cannot get promoted anymore, you cannot grow, or you just don't jive with the culture of your company. Could happen. If you are thinking about this whole thing, wondering, am I giving up if I move out? Then know that no, not giving up really refers to not giving up on you. It doesn't need to mean for you to stay there in the rack and continue to get tortured and go until the end. No, if it's not good for you, for your health, for your well-being, then be sincere about it and think about you and know clearly what you want to do, why you want to do it, and how in service of that longer term, bigger agenda that you hold, how would making a change help, right? Don't give up on that agenda. Don't give up on yourself. That's what's important. Many people, myself included, grow in their careers and go on to make bigger contributions and learn things that are exciting and get to know individuals that are enormously enriching because they chose to move on. Because in my own personal case, I grew because I chose to move on to things that were challenging, to things that I knew were going to stretch me and give me learning, and because I liked the people that I would be working with. So staying in your company is not necessarily not giving up. It's you I don't want you to give up on. It's your value and what takes you to your what and your why that I don't want you to give up on. So analyze clearly, and you will yourself determine whether it's time to move on when you understand better what the motivation is for you to even feel like that. There's no wrong answers. The only thing I'm going to make you accountable for is be truthful. If it's a problem you have, then learn from it. And yes, it might be time for you to move on. But take the learning from whatever situation might be and apply it in the future to continue developing and enriching and becoming who you can be, who you will be. I cannot, and I will not give you a specific answer because I don't know the circumstances, but I know that there's absolute value in understanding your inner motivations and the circumstances, but again, knowing yourself and knowing why you're hearing that, or why you're feeling like that, or why you're seeing what you're seeing, and then making a decision. Okay, last question. This is related to the first one that I answered. I was just giving clear feedback that I come across as very aggressive. I am a high performer, but I think this is starting to hurt my brand. Any thoughts? Well, yeah, it could be hurting your brand. I again will say you need to first have a conversation with whoever is giving you this feedback. You were just given clear feedback. By whom? By a peer, by your boss, by your wife, by your partner, your husband, whoever. Who's giving you the feedback? And the reason I asked the question is not for you to go and confront them. Why are you saying that? Well, you should go and ask and get more information. Why are you being told that? Try to understand, get examples. Then look at yourself in the mirror through their lenses. I'll use the word again. From their perspective, why could you be coming across as aggressive? And is this consistent? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Why are you being told that you are aggressive? Because there might be some elements there that you can control, that you can affect, that will change that perception. Simon Sinek, who I'm a fan of, has or talks about a matrix that I believe is used in the military. It's a 2x2, where on one axis they plot performance, high or low, and then the horizontal axis or the other axis they plot trust, low or high. And obviously you want to reward and you want to promote people who have a high degree of performance and a high degree of trust. High performance, high trust. That's who you want to really develop. It sounds to me like it could be that you are high performing, lower trust, if this is indeed something that consistently comes across as aggressive. And I don't know, talk to your peers. Do they trust you? Why don't they? Be truthful to yourself. Don't take things personally. Learn from what you're told. Use the feedback that you're given. It's a gift. With that in hand, understand whether you're high performance, low trust, and then what's stopping you from behaving in a way that will produce more trust. Simple as that. So get more information and understand how it goes. And I will tie this back to the first question that I answered about people tell you're too blunt. How can you respond more tactfully? Well, yeah, you could probably use more tact, maybe, but you also need to understand the environment. Are you in a culture, in an environment that is more consistent with more courtesy, with a more courteous approach, with a lengthier introduction to a topic? Because if you're very blunt and very aggressive and very direct, they could say, hey, this guy is just not earning the trust of anybody. He or she will steamroll over whoever's in front of them. And that's useful sometimes, but I will posit that it's not always useful. So analyze the feedback that you're getting and learn from it. And if you're indeed being very aggressive, then understand what the impact of that is and get information, get help from others, get a coach, and try to address how to improve in this dimension. It can be done. I've worked with people who have gotten this precise type of feedback, and they're doing great just because they understood what exactly was the matter. Sometimes it's just things that you're not even aware of. Many of them can be cultural things. So I hope that was useful. And with that, I will just say sorry about the silence in the live broadcast. Not sure exactly how that setting got all confused and wrong. Life happens. And this is me choosing to not be stopped by it and choosing to serve you by making sure that my thoughts and my answers to your questions are available to you. Even if you can hear them live, here they are. I hope that was useful. I wish you a very successful week, regardless of weather, regardless of circumstances. Who are you choosing to be today? Choose to be a winner. Choose to go for your objectives. Choose to act in accordance to your values. And I wish you the best. I'll see you here next Tuesday. Take care. Bye.